Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. Welcome to IAG Live. And for regular viewers who have been watching videos that we've been making for some time, you may recognize the background. Yes, I am actually in my house in Macau. This is not the office, somewhere different for a change. Back to the house. I used to broadcast from here quite a bit, but my international travels, obviously broadcasting from various different places around the world. And as always, we have our intrepid studio producer, Oscar Guiaro. Come on in, Oscar. Join us.
Hello.
Hey, Oscar.
Hello.
Looks like you're. I recognize that background. That's your home too.
Yeah, my home. Yeah, the studio.
Yes.
In our home.
The studio, right? Exactly. Our studio moves around a fair bit, doesn't it?
Indeed.
And sometimes it's the office, sometimes it's your house, sometimes it's Barcelona, or sometimes it's Spain.
Yeah, but always the studio. Wherever I am, it's the studio.
It's a mobile studio. It's a mobile studio.
Yeah, that's
okay,
right.
it's good.
Right.
It's all good. It's all good. And I'm back in Macau now. Oscar, you must be excited now. I'm back in Macau.
Of course. The family together again.
Together again, exactly. All the staff have to be on their best behavior because I'm back now, and it seems we are having some technical difficulties with Ben.
It seems it's okay now.
Oh, it seems he's okay now. Oh, good. All right. Well, in that case, let's bring him in. Bring him in now. Well, all three of us can be here. Managing editor Ben the Fishers Blasky.
Hi, Andrew. I've recovered from my technical difficulties.
You've recovered? I mean, you were just there frozen on the screen there at one stage, but you seem to be here. And you're in Sydney, but for not much longer, Ben.
Sydney for another 8 days, I believe, Andrew, then heading down to Melbourne for the Aussie Millions, of course. And then straight after the Aussie Millions, off to Macau for G2E Asia and the industry party.
Sure, and I'll be joining you at the Aussie Millions, and I'll be playing the main event of the Aussie Millions as well. So that'll be interesting. We'll talk a little bit more about that perhaps at the end of the broadcast, because I happen to know that our last story to cover this week is about the Aussie Millions. It's very exciting. It just started today. I saw the story in IAG Breakfast Briefing, right?
Well, Andrew, the actual opening event kicks off in about 7 minutes from right now. So certainly.
Oh, so it hasn't started yet. We'll talk about it later.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. But
exactly.
The 6-year wait is 6 or 7 minutes away from ending.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. All right, Oscar. Well, we'll say goodbye to you, and we'll get into the news of the week. See you, Oscar.
Bye. See you.
All right. Well, let's head straight into it. So, I thought this story was interesting that we did on Monday, that a court in Korea found the Paradise was not responsible for checking source of funds or even how currency entered the country. Because, of course, in Korea, they had very strong currency controls. I've had to move money in and out of Korea in the past, and it's not simple. Let's just put it that way. But I thought this was interesting because there's so much going on at the moment around the world in terms of responsibilities of integrated resorts in terms of know your client, source of funds, their source of funds, where did this actual money come from that they're playing with now? And here's a court saying, no, it's not your responsibility to do that. Ben, some comments on this?
Yeah, look, this was picked up from a local Korean media outlet that reported on this story. I don't know if there's some technicalities that weren't mentioned in the article that may have led to this ruling. It didn't allude to any. It basically just said that the judge just determined that, as you say, Paradise, their currency exchange staff, and not responsible for checking source of funds, how money was brought into the country, or that sort of things. And as you say, I mean, that's what sort of made this story so interesting, is the fact that countries like Australia in particular at the moment are so focused on those exact requirements that, casino operators are responsible for that sort of thing, to at least to a certain extent, to a reasonable extent. So, perhaps Korea taking a slightly different view on this matter.
Yeah, well, let's see if the regulatory pendulum starts to swing just a little bit back the other way. But I thought that was an interesting one. And I'm planning a big trip to Korea later in the year, maybe July. I haven't quite got it scheduled in yet. Maybe July, maybe August. I'll be locking it in pretty damn soon. And I'm looking forward to going to a lot of casinos in Korea, because we don't cover Korea enough. How's your Korean? Did you have to brush up on your Korean to read this story, Ben?
The beauty of AI, Andrew.
Not that we ever write with AI, of course. We never do that.
We don't write with AI. It does help for research sometimes.
It does help for research. It's excellent for research, isn't it? Perhaps we should make in fact, you know what? At the IAG Expo this year, I think definitely is. I think haven't we already got a session planned on practical ways to use AI in your gaming business? I think we have that already in our plans, don't we? For the for the IAG Academy Summit, right, in September 14 to 17.
I mean, look, Andrew, you and I have often discussed about when we plan the IAG Academy Summit is that, we don't want to have any sessions for session's sake. We don't want to, have 15 technology sessions because technology is the buzzword, but we do want to focus on practical sessions, practical education of, where technologies like AI genuinely do impact the industry and how that will look going forward. So, yeah, absolutely, it's something we'll look at in September in Manila.
I mean, you want practical, actionable stuff that people actually can use, not some, esoteric concept that, that was all very interesting. Now let me go back to work, and it's not useful. But anyway, but we digress. Let's move to the next story. Oscar. So Bill Hornbuckle and MGM China executive team meet with the up in Beijing with the Vice Premier He Lifeng. And thought that was interesting that they were that they got an audience with Beijing. Not that it hasn't happened before, and it happens with large integrated resorts in Macau that they get audiences with Beijing from time to time. But I just thought it was interesting that they were received, and kind of ties in with our contention at the moment that it seems that Beijing is very happy with what's going on in Macau, and that as opposed to some years ago where there were grumblings from China about what was going on in Macau, Beijing seems to be very happy with Macau now, given the changes that have been made by the Macau government for the law and the gaming laws, and the vast diminution of the influence of the junkets and so forth. And this is sort of symptomatic of it, right? That they're receiving Bill Hornbuckle. Is that KJR Min, Bill's chief of staff, with him? It might be. I didn't quite. The picture's a bit small for me, but and there's obviously Pansy Ho next to him. So great to see them up in Beijing.
And of course, MGM does have hotels in mainland China. So certainly, as a hospitality brand, it's there's a lot of relevance there as well, not just the Macau operations. So certainly, relationship building, obviously, very important there.
Yeah, sure. And they've got those. I know there's a MGM in. I actually stayed at it in. What's it called? MGM. It's called. Is it Diao Yu Fong? Diao. There's a Chinese name for it, and for that brand, but it is MGM. And I've stayed in Sanya. They've got a beautiful resort in Sanya, non-gaming, of course, in Sanya, and they've also got. Oh, there it is. Yeah, Diao Yu Tai. That's right. and they've got, or there you go, Diaoyutai MGM Hospitality, joint venture between MGM and China's state-linked Diaoyutai State Guest House. So if you're in partnership with the Chinese government, well, that can't be a bad thing. So yeah, good to see MGM looking very safe in terms of their relationship with China and in terms of their properties. And of course, they've got Kenny Fung too. Kenny as CEO, and Kenny's worked on both sides of the Pacific. He's spent a long time with MGM in Vegas, and a long time with MGM here, and he's a trusted lieutenant of Pansy Hose, and he's done a great job in running MGM China. So I think the moral of this story is that MGM very, very safe in terms of their position and their relationship with China. It's kind of the takeaway message. All right, let's move on to the next one, Oscar. Yeah, our friends at Newport World Resorts, of course, the host venue, the venue sponsor for this year's IAG Expo, September 14 to 17. They're doing well, particularly given the difficult environment in Manila right now.
Yeah, I think that was probably the most interesting takeaway from this story is the fact that all of the Manila, or most of the Manila integrated resort operators are facing a challenging time. Our visitation to the Philippines from Korea and China has been down the past couple of years, and of course gaming revenues have been impacted by that. But Newport World Resorts managed to book a slight rise in revenue and a pretty decent rise in profit. Actually, Lawrence Hawke reached out to me after this, Andrew, and just sort of mentioned how much effort they've been putting into the operation there over the past 12 months. So, very good result. Yeah, for sure they have, and it's a great result under pretty challenging circumstances.
Look, I often stay there when I'm in Manila. I stay in different places, but I often stay there at the Hilton often. And there's a great team over there. Chief Hospitality Officer John Lucas, COO Lance Gautreaux. You've got, as you mentioned, Lawrence Hawke as the CFO. He's a great guy. I'm in trouble now because I'll not name somebody and get into trouble. Sandy Amida as Lance's number 2. And I think Lance is, they're also building Westside as well. Lance has probably put a lot of effort into Westside right now. They're looking to launch the Westside property. So Sandy's probably running things over at Newport, I would imagine. I don't know that for a fact, but I guess he'd be doing a lot of that. And many others, their legal team, obviously their surveillance team. Apologies to anyone I didn't name that I should have named. And of course, Kevin Tan himself, the chairman over there who's leading things. Nilo Rodriguez, the CEO, of course, who is the sort of the key connection with Philippines government and Philippines, him being a Filipino himself and a highly experienced Filipino executive. He was CFO of Philippines Airlines in his previous job. He's a lovely guy. And they've got a great team over there and they're working very hard. And I think, they had that big managerial upheaval, that big change in June 24. So we're coming up to 2 years now. And as I always say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. It's all about the results. And congratulations and good job. Did they highlight, did you write the story, Ben? Did they highlight anything in particular that they're doing, or any particular, focus or anything like that, Ben?
Not in particular. In fact, this was sort of part of a filing by the parent company, Alliance Global Group. So it didn't really break down by its gaming segment. From memory, Alliance post a half-year and full-year proper report, which breaks down VIP mass. But at this stage, it was a bit more of a general overview of the performance of Travelers, plus all of their other brands as well, Emperada and everything else that's under Alliance.
Yeah, the Tan family have got 4 main big businesses under Alliance Global, haven't they? They've got the McDonald's, they've got Mega World, which is the township manufacturer, Newport World Resorts, and Emperador, the liquor importer and manufacturer too, I believe. The brandy, I think they make themselves. I stand to be corrected on that. Anyway, let's move on. What's next, Oscar? That's a good little story. It's good to see Newport doing well. Yeah, this is really interesting, isn't it? Way ahead of expectation, and Ginting suddenly going to have table games in New York.
Yeah, they flagged sort of middle of the year, so certainly ahead of schedule. I think it's around about 240 plus gaming tables in this first phase of opening. They've obviously done a fair bit of renovation work on the property so far, quite a bit to go. I think the full property doesn't open until 2032. I think they're spending about $5 billion US dollars on the expansion of the property, and when it's done, I think they'll have over 1,000 gaming tables. But launching with 240, and the significant thing is that the first 240 gaming tables in downstate New York anywhere.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's been a pipe dream to have gaming in downstate New York. Of course, upstate New York, there is some gaming, but in metropolitan the metropolitan New York City, in one of the 5 boroughs, and we now going to have our gaming tables there, which is great. So that's been a long time coming, and Genting the pioneer, as they have been in so many things actually around the world. Of course, people might say, well, hang on, you're inside Asian gaming, why are you covering New York? But Genting, of course, a Malaysian company, and arguably the first ever integrated resort in Asia, perhaps Genting Highlands, as it was back then, now Resorts World Genting, I think arguably was the first integrated resort in Asia. And of course, our friends at CDC will be covering that from the American angle. Or our partners, or not even our partners, our sister company, I should say, we're merged now. A lot of people come to me and say, how's the partnership going? I say, it's not a partnership. They say we've merged with CDC Gaming, the equivalent of IAG, but in the Americas. All right, next one, Oscar. Yes, this wasn't it a great night on. Oh no, you weren't there, Ben. You missed a great night, Ben. I better cover this because you weren't there. You were at the Manila one. There's a really good atmosphere. Much like remember how we said the atmosphere in the Manila one was really good. The atmosphere was great, and the food was awesome. They did a really good job, Aurora and Altira. I've really got to give it to them. The people were raving about the pizza. I actually never had a chance to grab a piece, but people were raving about all of the food. It looked fantastic. I was too busy running around talking to people, but it looked fantastic, and everybody said it was fantastic. I heard a lot of comments about along the lines of, "Oh yeah, I'd forgotten about Aurora. I'm going to come back here later, with my wife or whatever." It was a really good turnout. It was well over 150 people there. And they were good people too, high quality industry executives and adjacent high quality industry people in Macau. Entertainment there provided by Aurora, and just out on the balcony with the view back to Macau side, just a magnificent view, and it was just a really good night, and everyone had a good time, and the mood was good, and we had executives there from all over the world actually. Light and Wonder had executives there from the US and from Europe who happened to be in town. They didn't fly all the way in just for MAD, but they happened to be in town anyway, and they went along to MAD, which was great. And it was just a very good night. So I was thoroughly thrilled with that evening. And of course, our next one is in July. And look, just a fantastic job there. And on a special thanks to Raymond Lowe, of course. Raymond Lowe, who runs the property over there at Altira. Such a gracious guy. Rick gave a really good speech, and just a thoroughly nice guy. And I believe Aladad was instrumental in getting this organised with you, Ben.
Yeah, Aladad, exactly what you said, Andrew, is that some people said, oh, we'd forgotten about Aurora. Well, Aladad was very aware of that and said to me, I want to put it back into public consciousness. I remember it was about a year ago when I met Aladad there at Aurora, had a bit of a look around, and ran into Clay Peaster while we were there as well. Had a nice long chat.
Oh, yeah.
I know that Aladad has been raving about that pizza for as long as I can remember. So I will take Aladad up on the offer to have lunch with him there next time I'm in town for some period of time.
Here's a point which Aladad and I can agree on, so that's good. All right, our next story. I thought this was interesting. I mean, many years ago we were accused of being too Macau centric, and actually we've totally reversed that and got and increased our strong coverage and association with the Philippines, Australia, Singapore, and elsewhere. And sometimes I think, well, we may have gone a little bit too far, and we don't talk about Macau enough because, obviously Macau is such a massive market, and we're based in Macau, and it's our head office. And I'm always a little bit careful not to, talk about Macau too much. But I think this was Vitali, right, at Seaport, and I think he made some really interesting points in this, and maybe you can elaborate on it. Sort of a slightly changing nature of Macau. Macau is, to operate now in Macau, it's not how it used to be, and he made some good points in this report they issued, or this really, I don't know, what was it that they issued? I don't know, whatever Seaport's issues that you get stories from. And I thought he did very well, Vitali. Ben, do you want to elaborate on some of the points here about that Vitali was making?
Yeah, look, this is a little bit the issue of the day in Macau at the moment, is how the market has evolved post-COVID. If we go back over a decade, it was a very junket VIP-oriented market. Well, today it's very premium mass-oriented. But even within those segments, if you go base mass, premium mass, VIP, even there's a bit of blurring of the lines now. So even within the premium mass segment, there are agents operating. A lot of the expenses that used to be covered by junkets, service staff, F&B, are now covered by the concessionaires. And that's where we really see this ultra-competitive promotional environment coming from, is these this fight between the concessionaires to have the best service, the best product, the best staff serving, just to try and make sure they're competing at that top level. So this is really a lot of what Vitali has spoken about. In fact, I can tell you that our cover story for the May issue will be published in about 1 week from today, or maybe 6 days from today, and delves into this topic even further. We go into quite a bit of detail about it. But yeah, here Vitali spoke about in an investor note earlier in the week about the fact that, optimizing player reinvestment, just managing OPEX costs are going to be crucial, because comparisons to last year are going to get tougher from May onwards. So GGR growth is also going to slow a little bit from a pretty hot start to the year. So that's sort of, I think, what the operators will be looking at as 2026 progresses.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And look, as we've been alluding to a lot, I mean, it is an uber competitive environment, and the onus is really on the concessionaires now. You can't just sit back and let the junkets bring the play in. You've got to go out and get that. And it's experiential for the customer. It's all about service. I mean, all of them, all 6 of them in Macau, they've got magnificent properties, let's be honest. Some a little bit more magnificent than others, but the gap between them is maybe on hardware is not necessarily so big. So what really differentiates it is the experience. I mean, I know myself, I rave about the service experience I get at Marina Bay Sands. When I turn up at Marina Bay Sands, I don't know, I feel like I'm king of the world, right? And that's the experience you want to give your customers, and they just know how to do it, right? And they're doing it here in Macau too. So whoever does that best and makes that customer feel, I just love coming here, it feels great, and they know my name, and they know my preferences, and they look after me, that's the one that's going to win the biggest share of wallet. And share of wallet's really important. Somebody arrives in Macau, as we often say, the average stay in Macau historically has been 1.5 days, but now it's even less. It's down to about 1.2 or 1.1 days. So you've really only got time to go to one place, maybe 2. You certainly won't be going to 6 or 5. And whoever that first casino is that they go to, that's the one that's going to get the grand majority share of wallet from the player. I mean, I think probably 80%, because I think it'd be less in Las Vegas. I think it'd be more in Macau. So, yeah, this, isn't it funny? Straight after COVID, MGM were the ones that hit the ground running on this with their smart tables and their really clever planning during COVID that they kept kind of quiet, actually, which was clever of them. And then they just hit the ground running, and all the others were sort of like for 1 or 2 or 3 quarters blaming this, that, or the other, or making excuses. And as so often happens with these things, when somebody jumps out and leads, then the others follow, and the others have now caught up, and everybody's into it now. So I think it's really interesting. This is the changing dynamic in Macau. And if you want to be a successful industry leader here as an operator in Macau, it's all about service, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what we're hearing about in every analyst, every investor call for the past year at least. There's always questions from the analysts to the Macau operators about player reinvestment, about margins, this competitive environment. It's the issue of the day, and market's all about market share now, isn't it?
Yeah, and well, let's see when Galaxy opens Phase 4. They're going to have that. That's a little hardware kick. Well, it's not a little hardware kick for them. It's a massive hardware kick for them, with those 5 towers and so forth. So that'll be a jump ahead in hardware as well. So that might make a little difference as well. But yeah, I think service is going to, long term and even short term and medium term in Macau, service is really going to be the differentiator. All right, let's move on to the next story, Oscar. Oh, hello. We've got a comment here from. Here we go. We've finally got some people actually watching us. Coast MGM also serves good pizzas. Yes, Coast as a restaurant. For those who don't know, is a restaurant at MGM Cotai. With great pizzas there that Susanna has mentioned, and Baller is saying me too, enjoyed it. I bet you that's in relation to MAD, the MAD event. She was there at the MAD event on Tuesday night in Macau. All right, let's move on. Thanks for that, Oscar. And let's move on to the next story. Yeah, so Sands results yesterday, and you did a couple of really good stories from this, Ben. I thought you did a great job covering this, actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we're just in our previous story talking about player reinvestment, that's a topic that Sands in particular raised last year, the fact that they felt that they had probably let it slip a little bit. They perhaps felt that their integrated resorts, the Londoner, the Venetian, Parisian, etc., the quality of those resorts would be enough. They sort of mentioned last year that they'd sort of learned that wasn't the case. They needed to put a bit more effort into exactly what we're talking about. Player reinvestment, service quality, just getting all those little things right. Well, now they're starting to see some of the benefits of that. So the past couple of quarters, they've started to see, not huge upticks in revenue, but certainly an upward trend. They're around about 2.5% higher than the December quarter in Q1 26, and quite a bit higher than last year on year, well over 20%. So positive signs for Sands China moving forward. And as the headline said there, Andrew, they hit a 2-year high in market share.
Look, even if you're going at a snail's pace, which I'm not saying they are, you better be going in the right direction than the wrong direction. So as long as you're moving in the right direction, you keep moving, you're going to get there in the end. And it was Rob Goldstein, that we can now say the former chairman and CEO of Sands, who highlighted the fact that they were not doing as well. Was quite public in earnings calls coming out to say that they were not doing as well as they should have in Macau. Obviously, they're killing it in Singapore, but that's another story. And he sort of highlighted this, and now Patrick Dumont, of course, has taken over as chairman and CEO. I was lucky enough to get some time with Patrick in Vegas on his second day in the job, actually, when I was over there. And he's a dynamic, young, driven and capable leader. And he's going to continue to push on this, I'm sure. And I'm sure he's going to bring the changes that he needs to do to push forward on this and to drive the properties, the 5 properties they have in Macau to further profitability. And he's got Singapore as a kind of a leading light out front to go, well, if Singapore's making this, let's get Macau to where Singapore is. I'm sure he's thinking that. I would be if I was him. And good on him. And then that provides additional competition for Galaxy, who have been doing very well as well. And as I always say, more competition is good for the player. It's good for the industry, actually, as a whole. So, well done to Sands. I don't think they're there. They're not there yet, are they? I think Sands fell into a little bit of a hole over the last few years in Macau. Obviously not in Singapore. 1 or 2 things are a little bit difficult, but they've been making changes over the last sort of 6 months or so, and you can see that they are aware of it. They know, and they know they've got work to do, and they're doing it. So well done to them.
Yeah, and one thing they've highlighted too is so EBITDA in Macau was 633 million, if I'm not mistaken, for the first quarter, and they've set a target of 700 million. So, they sort of know where they want to go. They know what needs to be done. Wow. I think in one of the upcoming stories, we're going to hit on some of the things that they're doing around that as well. So certainly they're ambitious. They know what they need to improve, and they're doing it.
So that would be 2.8 billion per year. That would be on sort of Singapore level, because they're going for 3 billion there. Of course, there's always EBITDA, adjusted EBITDA, and bottom line, all these different metrics. But yeah, that's interesting. Boy, what a profitable company! It's a big company though, big investment, but what a profitable company. Yeah. Did you fix I identified a couple of typos in that story. I think there was a $754. It was meant to be 754 million. Did you fix that, Ben?
That is fixed, Andrew.
Oh, good. Thank you. Very good. It's okay. These things happen. But you get a lot to do in the mornings, and I think it's good that we we get it out fast. You were up early listening to that earnings call. It was very early for you, and getting this out this week as fast as you did. Plus, I think the story you alluded to is the next story, and then you did another one today, which I think I might have grabbed. I'm not sure. It was great coverage. You did a really good job on this, Ben. Well done. Okay, all right, let's move on. Yeah, here it is. I'll just let you do this one. This is the second story you did from the yesterday.
Yeah, directly related to what we've been speaking about too. So this is what Sands are taking as their next step in improving that customer service. So they've spoken about the fact they spoke about yesterday hiring of more service staff. Patrick Dumont said that some of those staff are already on the payroll, so that process is underway, but more to come. So that's an ongoing investment in more staff. Plus expanding their suite product across, well, they just mentioned all of their resorts, but starting with the Venetian. So Venetian is their number one project they're working on now. They expect to open some of those new suites by the third quarter of this year. They expect to have that property renovated with more suites, plus other renovations across the property sometime in 2027 from memory. I think they said.
That's quick. That's quick, isn't it?
Yeah, well, end of 27, I think they said, for to have everything done, total product refresh by end of 2027. Wow. So, they're investing, and I think from there they'll move on then to their other properties as well.
Well, I mean, it needed it. Venetian was getting a little bit tired, let's be honest, and I think they knew that. And it's still a great property, don't get me wrong. And the concept, I mean, Mr. Adelson was the one that came up with the concept of the all suites hotel, and I mean that Venetian suite, that standard Venetian suite, I mean standard room, but it was a really good room, with the split level, with the bed and the sort of living room with the desk and everything, and that was a game changer when he came up with that room, and it was every room in the property had was that standard. It was absolutely fantastic. But Venetian opened in Macau in 2007. So we're talking, well, what are we talking, 19 years ago? So it does need a refresh. And if they've got, what do they got? Something like 3,000 rooms in there. That is amazingly quick, if they get it all done by the end of 27, that's motoring along. So I guess they've got economies of scale, and it'll be they won't be making it an uber 6-star style. It won't be like, not Londoner Grand. What's the one up the other end? The really, really Londoner Court. It won't be like that, but it'll still be really, really good. And to get it done that quick is fantastic for them, because they will, they will get an uptick in revenue straight away. I am sure. And I just saw a little message come through from our Chief of Staff, Scott Messenger, who says, don't forget the fax machine. Every room had a fax machine in it. This is back in the days when fax machines were a thing. There'll be kids born today who won't even know what a fax machine is. All right, let's move on to the next story. Yeah, the side bet, you did a good story here as well. The contrast between the side bets in Singapore and Macau bet.
Yeah, this has been spoken about by a few of the concessionaires, that they weren't seeing massive take-up of side bets during the sort of first year of take-up of smart tables across all of the integrated resorts in Macau. Sands yesterday, the first one to say that actually they're starting to see a bit of positive momentum. Of course, there was news a couple of weeks ago that the DICJ approved 3 more baccarat side bets. I'm aware that Sands has put 2 of those into play, and that the third one is coming fairly soon. So they're constantly experimenting with these side bets, trialing, see what works, see what doesn't. I think at one stage they had tables with up to 7 different side bets on them. I think a few of those operators scaled them back to 4 or 5 in most cases. So, maybe a bit of a, let's see what works, let's see what doesn't. Maybe they've got a bit more of an idea now about what sort of appeals to the Macau player and starting to see some traction there, Andrew. Although, as you say, I think for whatever reason, type of player, customer preference, they seem to have been taken up very quickly in Singapore, which has made a massive difference there, but just a bit slower to gain traction in Macau.
I see the name of the side bets there. One is called Monkey No Monkey. I love it. And that's probably the difference between us as a gaming media organisation and other gaming media organisations. They wouldn't understand the significance of that, but we do. Let's not explain it to them. All the gaming people who are listening to this will understand. All right, next story. That's an interesting one. You're on fire there, Ben. Oh, and this one as well from Pierce. Look at that. Look at that 13 as gold instead of red. Is that really like that now? I must head down there later today and take a look.
Yeah, it's
is that a rendering, or is it really like that now? Do you know? Or we have to ask Pierce maybe?
I have to ask Pierce. I haven't been down there for a while. Of course, our colleague Jadeson lived very close to the 13 for a few years there.
Oh, Jadeson will know. Oh, yeah, Jadeson will know. Yeah,
that's everything.
Yeah. I might head down there later today and take a look, because if it really does look like that, it looks better, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the red was you couldn't miss the red. You probably can't miss the gold either, I'm sure.
Wouldn't miss the gold. Trump would love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he'd love it if it had his name on it. Then he'd really love it. But yeah,
maybe someone can sell it to him. Yeah. Anyway, I'm interrupting you. Please explain the story.
Oh, look, the 13 has a long and sordid history in Macau. Andrew, as you know, is envisioned by Stephen Hung to be some uber luxury. He envisioned it as a gaming resort. He wanted to put 66 gaming tables in there under some sort of satellite arrangement. There are all sorts of rumours at the time about which concessionaires he was talking about that. Of course, that never materialised. He ran out of money. The property, it opened, but it wasn't finished. I remember you and I having a tour there, Andrew, and a lot of those suites were still just concrete walls, weren't they? Right. I think you've stayed there since, though, haven't you, a couple of times a few years back?
I've stayed there a couple of times a few years back, but no.
Well, look, new ownership now. They've promised to, well, they have been putting a bit of effort into renovation there. They're finishing the rooms, a few new restaurants. Obviously, it's a gold building now, so quite a few changes. Look, we'll see. I think they got it for a bit of a steal, really, didn't they? Didn't pay a whole lot for a hotel there, so we'll see how they go.
They got it for a steal, but it wasn't much. I mean, it's a very, very funny property. It'd be great to see what they've done with it. Look, if they can make any sort of success out of that, anything, well done to them. But, we are online on the internet and we're live, and this is kind of like a podcast. So for a second, we can cosplay conspiracy theorists, right? Oscar, scroll down. How many views are there of this story that went up this morning? What's the first 2 numbers? 13. 13. People might wonder, why is it called, people who don't know the history might wonder, why is it called 13? Because 13, obviously, the traditional unlucky number in Western world, and the number, obviously the unlucky number in the Eastern world is 4, because the number for 4 sounds like, the word for 4 sounds like the word for death, actually in most Eastern languages. And of course it was 13 because it was Louis 13 originally, wasn't it? It was sort of named after is it the cognac or the brandy? I always get confused. It's the cognac, right? Louis 13?
I'm not exactly sure, Andrew. I can't.
I think it's a cognac. I should know.
Yeah, but you're right. It was called. It was going to be called Louis.
It was Louis 13.
That was the name it was envisioned as, and
then Stephen got into trouble. I think Stephen got into trouble. They contacted him and said, "Hang on a minute, you can't call it that," and it became the 13. Yeah. Oh, but good story by Pierce. And look, if they can make any kind of success out of it, if it can find some kind of niche in the marketplace where it really serves a genuine business function, great. Good luck to them. And noting there that it's Lloyd. Just go down, Oscar, to the bottom there. Just noting for people that Lloyd Keong, I always mix up this name, Keong. No, let me do it again. Loi Keong, the Rio guy, the guy that had the Rio, is connected to this. So he's seen the opportunity and taken a Oh, look, Scott sent me another message. He's very disappointed in us not knowing that it was cognac. I thought it was cognac. Yeah, but I'm not a big drinker these days. All right. Okay. Next one, Oscar. Hey, isn't this exciting? It's interesting, isn't it? The New Zealand thing.
Yeah, it's we've just been, it's just been gradually making its way through Parliament. It's just about there, just following the timeline that's expected. So, I mean, it looks like we're going to see this all fully in play by the end of this year. Up to 15 licenses on offer, and New Zealand. We've spoken about it before, Andrew. They've got a clear view of what they want to do with their online gaming. They want to bring it from, let's say, grey market offshore into a regulated market.
Yeah, I mean, it was so great to hear that guy. Was it Mr. James?
Paul
I think
James,
was his surname.
yes.
Paul James. That guy at Regulating the Game Conference in March this year. Shout out to Paul Newson for his Regulating the Game Conference and for his get of Paul James. And his he had his offsider there, whose name I believe was Vicky Scott, and they were sort of explaining how they got this through and what their intentions were. And it seemed like they were reading IAG for the last 3 years and us talking about online gaming, because they just had it bang on basically what we're saying, which is silly, and the point that they made was, we are not bringing online gaming to New Zealand. All we're doing is taking the online gaming that's already here. Don't pretend it's not here. It is. And we're just taking it from the illegal realm to a regulated realm where players can have protections and we can get some tax and all of that, which is just, so sensible and logical. But it's great to see another jurisdiction in our APAC region. The IAG coverage area, APAC is about 65 countries, and only really the Philippines has got proper regulated online gaming. And now we have New Zealand coming on board as a second country, having proper online regulated gaming, and a modern Western, first world country. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how it plays out. And this could stand as a model for other countries. Australia is watching what New Zealand is doing. Really, really interesting. So I think that's great. And Oscar, and this is a good example. Just go, Oscar, scroll up to the top black bar. We introduced the don't hit it yet. We introduced what do we call it officially? Because we've got an unofficial name for it. We call it the global, what do we
navigation.
Call it? I can't remember what. Global navigation bar or something is the official term. But of course, we just call it the big black bar. The internal name is the big black bar. And so now we've got the big black bar across the top of CDC, IAG, CIG, and our corporate site, CMG. And this is really an online gaming story. So where do you find it? You find it at Complete iGaming. So Oscar, click on the little CIG logo there. Flick over to Complete iGaming, our iGaming brand, and scroll down a little and you'll see that story in the iGaming context. There it is, New Zealand. Click on that, Oscar. There you go. That's the Complete iGaming version of essentially the same story, right, Ben? But from an iGaming point of view.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. All right, Oscar. Back to IAG. Is he going to use? He just closed it. He didn't use the big black bar. All right. So we're all excited about our big black bar. All right. Next story, Oscar. We must be getting near the end, I think. Oh, the Aussie Millions. All right, Ben, take it away.
Well, we're about 30 minutes into the opening event, Andrew. The 6-year wait for the Aussie Millions. 17 days, 18 events, all the other way around. So from memory, certainly one of those.
One of those. 18.
One of those through 24th of May through to the 24th of April through to 10th of May. Look, we've spoken about it a lot the past few weeks. This is traditionally one of the biggest events in the world, one of the biggest series in the world. By far the most prestigious tournament series in Australia. Of course, there have been some additions to the schedule in recent years, like WPT Australia, to challenge that. But no, the Aussie Millions, I think, is the one that everybody's been waiting for in Australia to come back. And we're going to have some pretty big names. They had a charity event last night with all sorts of sporting celebrities and various people there to sort of launch the whole week. Shame I couldn't make that one, but flying down to Melbourne next week, and looking forward to it, Andrew. And I expect you to win the main event.
No chance. But I'll be trying. I'll certainly try. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how many they get, isn't it? Look, I'm super excited. It's going to be, first of all, another reason why it's no chance. It's going to be my first poker tournament in about 7 years, I think. I've had no time to play any poker, any tournament poker or cash game poker for that matter for years and years and years. But look, it's such a great and iconic event. I couldn't resist the opportunity to donate my $10,600 and play the main, which is going to be really, really fascinating to play it. I'm really excited to be playing it. I don't have any expectations that I'll do any good, but it'll be exciting to be in there in the mix and to receive my 60,000 chip starting stack on day 1C on Wednesday. I'll be down there Wednesday. Not this coming Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. 3 day ones, day 1A, day 1B, day 1C on Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the week after next. And then it plays Thursday, day 2, Friday, day 3, Saturday, day 4, and the Sunday, the 10th of May is the final table. If I'll be absolutely thrilled if I'm involved in that. Highly unlikely, probably a 1% chance or something. So I wonder how many they'll get, Ben. Let's have an. I mean, we've been speculating. I think we've said numbers anything from 450 to 700. Do we have any intel on that? Harold and Dan have been playing their cards pretty close to their chest on that one.
No, I spoke to Dan last week, not last Friday. And
well, don't say anything you shouldn't say though.
No, it's fine. We're allowed to say this.
Okay,
He said that he was watching out. We discussed this last week. We're talking about what numbers are they going to get, and he said that he watched that, and they're quietly confident of over 500, which they will be absolutely thrilled with. I think they're probably past 300 satellite qualifiers now. They ran a satellite yesterday. They got 18 more qualifiers on a Thursday night, which is pretty good. So I think they're over 300 satellite qualifiers. So they'll be pretty confident of over 500. If they get over 600, that'll be ecstatic.
Thrilled. Look, I think anything over 500 is an absolute success. So it's what we said last week, right? So don't get me wrong on this. Anything, if it's 501, I'll be clapping them and saying, well done, guys. Fantastic, and get to work for next year. But I, deep down inside, have a suspicion that it's going to be like late on day. Well, how long is late buy-in? Can you buy in at the beginning of day 2?
Don't believe so. I do not.
Well, certainly at the end of day 1, I think you might be able to. Oh, you know what? I think maybe you can, because isn't there a satellite late on day 1? I actually think there's a satellite during day 1C. And they'll be doing flip satellites, I reckon. They'll be doing single card flip satellites. Like for those people who don't know what that is, 10 guys get together, put $1,000 in each. They high card it. Everyone gets a card, and whoever's got the highest card, he wins the ticket. He gets the $10,000, which goes into his entry fee. I reckon there'll be a bit of that going on.
Well, if they're allowed to by the regulator, I guess, as well. That's all dependent on
I think they'll have to check. But I think that they would be allowed to do that by the regulator. I mean, that is a satellite, and it is a poker game, high card. And I think they could do any form of poker as long as it's approved. I don't know, right? So don't shoot me, regulator in Australia, the VG CCC, don't shoot me. But I think they'll be able to do stuff like that. Because when you think about it, you could just do a crazy structure, couldn't you? You could do, an insane structure where it's one big bet at the beginning or something. So if they tried to say you can't flip it, well, you just do that. So that's how you would get around it. But look, I think you're going to have a queue out the door. I actually think, like later in the last moments of registration, I should say, I think you're going to have this massive long queue, and people are becoming. There's probably a lot of people in Melbourne right now going, "Oh, should I? Shouldn't I? I really want to, but at 10,000, I don't know." And I just think that a lot of people think, just do it, and. There's going to be a lot of people wanting to win that tournament, their first tournament back for 6 years of the Aussie Millions. So let's see. Maybe I'm wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised if they got 600. I wouldn't be surprised if they got. They won't get 700, I don't think, but they might. You never know. But look, as I say, anything over 500, I think it's a great success and well done. And we're all you can tell from the way we're talking about it how excited we are. So I'll see you down there, Ben. When are you getting down there?
Next Saturday, the 2nd of May, I'll be there.
Yeah, I get there on the Tuesday, I think May the 4th. So I'll sleep up that day because I'm flying overnight on the 3rd. I'll get a bit of rest on the 4th, and then 12:30 p.m. On the 5th will be day 1C. And for anyone watching, I'm planning to write a little article about that experience, or a preparation for that experience over the weekend, and we might just get it in breakfast briefing on Monday or Tuesday next week. So now I've said it, I have to do it. Yeah, that's that. I think that's the last story, isn't it, Oscar? Yes, it is. All right, Ben. So what are you doing on the weekend? What's going on?
Having a look at Anzac Day tomorrow, of course, Andrew, in Australia. So
yeah, yep.
Lose my fortune on tour, and and then cry into my beer on Sunday, I guess. So that's how my weekend probably been.
Well, lest we forget, in all seriousness, it's a moment for us to reflect on the people who have sacrificed themselves in wars for Australia. Anzac, of course, standing for the Australia and New Zealand Army Corps. So it's a day, much like Memorial Day, November the 11th for most countries around the world. Australia on the 26th of April always, I'm not sure if celebrates the right word, but commemorates Anzac Day. Australian and New Zealand. There's a healthy rivalry between Australia and New Zealand, but we get together and we commemorate that day together, because a lot of wars Australians and New Zealanders have fought side by side, and it's a moment just to reflect. And there's a famous saying in Australia, lest we forget, and we should never forget. And that started the Gallipoli action in World War One was the sort of the forging of that in 1915, wasn't it? Yeah, 1915. The war was 14 to 18, but the Gallipoli was in 15. So I remember the 100th anniversary. I'm sure you do too, Ben. Of 2015 was the 100th anniversary. Geez, what are we up to now? 111. It's the 111th this year. Wow, 111. Yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, I think that's it. That's it for this week. We've got some comments here. Great episode, guys, from Henry Fonseca, who's a regular viewer. Thanks for your support, Henry. Really appreciate that. And then Mrs. Niall from Susanna. Yeah, Susanna's getting chatty, which is good. So look, thanks for the people that do watch this. It's got a small but loyal audience. It's long format. A lot of people don't have time to watch the whole thing, so we understand that. But if we get 100 viewers of this by the time the week is over, we're very happy. Some people watch it live. A lot of people watch it after the event. Probably got a bit of a following over the weekend. People are a bit busy on Friday mornings. Probably some people catch it up with it over the weekend. But IAG Live, we're very happy with the product and we're growing it. We need to get more guests on, don't we, Ben? We got to get some guests on that side on our agenda, and also IAG Live, not just Fridays at 10, but I think we're going to be expanding it as time goes on and doing certainly at the IAG Expo. We're going to have the IAG Live studio there. We'll be broadcasting live, not for the entire Expo, but at various times during the Expo, we'll be broadcasting live from the IAG Expo floor. So that'll be exciting, and. I think there's more we can do with IAG Live, isn't there, Ben?
Yeah, certainly, as you say, I think live from any show that we're at, where it makes sense time-wise. I think we had grand plans to do so in Barcelona, but it proved a little bit challenging. Yeah. But, we'll get there. And as you say, some special guests. If any suggestions of guests you'd like to see, please put them forward. Or, hey, if you want to have a chat and put your hand up, if you're... a significant figure in industry and have something to say, we'll have a chat to you. Absolutely, we will.
It's community that we're building, the whole IAG community. It does have a very community feel to it, as we saw at the two MADs in this week, the week just gone and the week before at La Vie in Manila, and the one at Aurora on Tuesday was just a great event and a very good, solid community feel to it. All right, well, that's it from us. Have a great weekend, everybody. And next Friday, that's May the 1st. That's a public holiday in Macau, but holidays don't mean anything to me. So I will still be in Macau. I'll be getting on the plane that weekend. And you'll still be in Sydney, right? We'll both be getting on planes you'll be getting on a plane the next day, and I'll be getting on a plane on the weekend and eventually getting down there Tuesday. I'm actually going via Manila. I think I'm spending one night in Manila. So, next IAG Live will be in the same positions, and then the following one will be from Crown. It'll be from will we have time to do it? Let's hope we do. Probably, because it'll be in the morning, right? So it'll be midday in Crown. That might be a little late. We might have to do that one an hour earlier or something like that. Week after next. Let's see. Anyway, they're our plans. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. And I think it's bye from us all here at IAG Live. Say bye, Ben.
Bye, Ben.
And that's bye from me too. Have a great weekend. See ya.